Welcome to Set Apart Podcast. My name is Oscar. I'm the host of the show, and this is episode 35. But most importantly, it's episode 1 of Meet the Machine. And through the series, you're going to know more about really what runs John Bell Construction, and most importantly, the people who run it. So stick around, and I appreciate everything you guys do for us and your support. Like and subscribe, and enjoy the series. For 2 years, you were here by yourself. And there's a lot of things that women go through and feel. How did it feel for 2 years almost to be the only girl here at John Bell Construction?
Well, and I never really felt lonely because I had a lot of support from a lot of people, from the guys in here. But in a way, it did feel lonely because there's only so much that you can connect with a man. And with the guys here, as much as I love them, there's only as far as, you know, as you can develop a relationship. So it felt a little lonely. But it also felt kind of cool because I was the only girl here. So it was like, it was me.
Do you remember? Do you honestly remember the days that we never had like any other girl here? Like, what were like the actual days like? So first of all, tell me what you do.
Okay.
As your position, maybe a little gist of what you do. We'll get a little bit more into exactly what you do, but tell me what your position is, and how did it compare to what you're doing now?
Well, at the beginning, my position was, wait, hold on.
Office administrator.
Yes. Which is still the same. I mean,
Do you like your title?
Yeah, I mean, I've never really defined what I do by my title because if I really did define what I do by my title, I abandoned my title a long time ago. I don't know what it would be now, but it's definitely I'm not just an office administrator anymore. I feel like I've gotten involved a lot. Well, first of all, I'm the office administrator for the company, and I started here really just doing the basics, taking care of the office, taking care of the guys, supporting wherever I needed, filling any space that needed to be filled, document control, which is still carries on to what I do today, but at a less hectic
would you guys feel
volume.
like? What would you guys describe Maria's role or what Maria does?
I feel like she's like a project supervisor.
Okay.
Like she kind of seriously, like you know everything that's going on with every single project that's happening. And you're like on top of like all the permits and the drawings and the paperwork and like you're on top of all of it. So like you're basically like
involved.
The project supervisor.
Yeah. I feel like you're the like office manager, which I think is basically your title, but I don't know, everyone comes to you for everything.
Well, it really isn't her title. Her title's office administrator. Should it be office manager?
I always thought she was
Yeah,
office manager.
No, it's office administrator.
Office administrator.
Should we change that?
Yeah, we gotta change that.
I'll order the business cards
honestly,
tomorrow.
Everyone comes to you for anything that they need. Cheryl will come to you
that knowledge. I
asking
come to
questions.
her.
I
Yeah.
come to you asking questions. Will, Jay, they're always like, hey, Maria, what about this? What about this permit? Did you call this person? Blah, blah, blah. Or you're over there telling them, hey, I just followed up with so-and-so. Like, I need you to do this. I need you to do that. Can you follow up with this? You know, like, you run the office.
At the very beginning, I was not like that. I was this like little tiny snail, and I wanted to hide in every corner that I possibly could find because while I have been in the construction industry before, I was specifically in roofing, coming in here was like a much wider, role. And so there was a lot in here that I had yet to learn and that it took me a while to learn. But at the beginning, I was very
Well, let's talk about the
shy.
beginning because everybody goes through like a training process here.
Yeah.
And some people don't even know they're in the training process. Talk to me about the process of. I don't want to know about the process because the process might not be the most pleasant to hear. But talk to me about because the person that I met and the person that I interviewed and the person that I know now are completely different people.
I would 100% agree with that. Like, as I was saying, I was a very shy person. I knew, obviously, a little about the industry because, again, coming in here was a much bigger world than I really honestly ever even imagined. But I was very afraid of asking questions. I had also gone through kind of like a situation in my previous job where it kind of really lowered my confidence as a whole. And so when I walked in here, though I knew that I was able and I knew that I could, I really second questioned myself. Like I second guessed myself a lot, and I really overthought everything. And I got to a point where I was even like afraid of asking questions, or maybe I was asking too many questions because I was too afraid to
fail
or to make a mistake or to not do something right. Or
I feel like
things
you don't
that
care about that. Not that you don't care about that, but I feel
obviously
like
I care, but I don't, because it's what I told Gina. You kind of just have to do the job and trust that you're doing it 100% and that you're doing it at the utmost level of perfection that you can offer.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're not doing it right, somebody's going to tell you correct it and it doesn't happen again. You just keep it moving. And that was something that I was not doing before. I took a conversation. It was never a serious conversation or anything like that. Well, I don't know. Maybe HR can tune in, and comment and, prove me otherwise. But it took a conversation with Jazz upon one of my reviews, and essentially I'm never gonna forget, because it took that one conversation, and after that everything completely changed. And it was, I think, at my 90 day. No, I think it was in my 90-day review. It was pretty early on. Excuse me, where he said, just don't be afraid to just do. And I felt, and that to me, I took that as in we know you're capable of doing it, but you need to show us that you're capable of doing it. And I said, okay, no, I really got to put my big girl pants on, and I got to show them that I'm 100% capable of doing that and then some. And so that's what I did.
And honestly, sorry to cut you off, but that conversation, I guess, had to be had, because when I came in, I would have never even guessed that you were some shy little girl in the very beginning, because I came in and it was like, Maria is the boss. Maria runs this office. Do not mess with Maria, okay? But also, if you needed anything, it was like, oh, you could go to Maria. Mm-hmm. But I would have never guessed. And when you told me that, I was like, there's no way, because you just have such confidence. The ins and outs of John Bell Construction, I would say, more than anyone else does in this office. Besides,
I thought that you had been here a lot longer. That's how much you.
I agree.
Mm-hmm. Are an influence here. I really thought that you were here much longer. So when I heard that you've been here 3 years, I'm like, wow, that's it.
Speaking of influence, I didn't just learn what I know now because I did it on my own. Though I did, of course. I obviously had to do a lot of work on my own, but it also. I took the opportunity to become a sponge and absorb as much as I could from everybody else, because nobody in here was going to do the job for me. I had to do the job on my own. And that's kind of just where I am now. I mean, if look, what's the worst that can happen? Is he going to fire me? No. But what's the worst that could happen? You have a conversation, they correct you, you correct it, and you move on. And you just don't do it again.
But what do you think? This is a serious question here.
Okay.
What do you think? Because I don't think really anybody understood the Maria that walked through these doors. What do you think made that change? Because construction is a very difficult industry for anyone to be in. Mm-hmm. Construction changed me. I always tell people, when I started in construction, I was not the person that I am today. I was a much, much nicer, friendlier, more person than I am now. The industry, the people in it, just the intensity of it, kind of it breaks you, but it almost doesn't put you back together the same way that you were.
No, it doesn't.
But I feel that for you, it broke you, but it made you so much better of a person. Mm-hmm. Can you kind of not only you, but do you feel even Taylor, you don't come from an industry of construction? How do you feel that being a woman in construction has kind of made you change as a person? Go say it.
Well, I never ever picture myself ever working in construction. I'm not gonna lie. But I have always worked in very male dominated industries. So when the opportunity kind of came about, I was ready to take it on. Definitely a little bit of a learning curve, because again, I know nothing about construction. I don't know. I'm still learning day by day, but.
What do you think is the most important thing you need to know in construction?
I mean, the basics, what you guys do, and what you guys deal with every day.
What do you think is the most basic thing that anyone can know about construction? To run a construction project, to run anything. If you were right now to renovate your house or anything, what do you think is the most important thing that it would take to have a successful project?
Well, I would say good workers. And I only say that because some, like, you need to know, I guess, subcontracting, like, who your subcontractors are for specific projects. And you need to know, like, who's good at what, because that can make a huge difference. Like, let's just say for a house, for example, like granite countertops, right? I only know because my parents, whoever they hired, like, did great. Like, you can't even see the seams in the granite. Like, it's so perfect. But I have seen other projects where I'm, like, noticing, like, oh, like, I can see the seam. It's not that even, whatever. So I don't know. I think that's the most important part.
Yeah. I think but if you ask, like, anybody, everybody would get, like, a different answer. But honestly, the answer I was expecting
I don't know.
was...
that one kind of caught me off guard.
It's fine. But I think, personally, do you know, what would you say is the most important thing?
Honestly, I was going to say the same thing. Like, know who you're hiring.
Really?
Yeah. Like, know who your GC is. Know who your subcontractors are. Know the kind of quality of work that they produce.
Maybe to me, it's like so... And maybe it's like a naive thing to me that's so obvious, you know?
But it's not.
It's not. Like, to people that are not in construction, it's not that obvious.
And I'll say, like, I don't know if I can say this. Well, I can say this. It's not that bad. But my parents hired a general contractor, to do renovations on their house. And, you know, they gave him money. And he's like, oh, I'm going to do this, this, and this. And that's where the money was supposed to go. He took my parents' money and used it on other projects. And then didn't have money to finish my parents' house the way that they said
That happened to
they
my
were going to
parents.
do. Yeah. And it happens a lot. Like, see,
Who
like,
did it happen
shit.
to?
My parents, the kitchen guy.
Really?
Exactly.
Years ago, yeah.
Well, I always told Isabella when we were starting the company, I was like, listen, I know it sounds crazy, but if we kind of like just like do what we say we're going to do and we don't screw anybody over and we just show up on time, it's kind of hard to like not go out of business, you know, because it's this industry and what we do. Honestly, I wish it would be different, but the fact is that if it were to be different, I don't know if we would stand out as much as we do, because this industry, especially in the city, is like a little bit chaotic, you know. But enough about our industry and enough about kitchen cabinets and granite. Dina here has a lot of good statistics in terms of like women. Can you share some of them with us?
Yeah, so I did some research on women in construction, since I am now a new woman in construction. So of the entire workforce in the United States, 14.5% of working women are in the construction industry and 10% in the state of Florida. So we are a pretty elite group.
Great. That's awesome.
Yeah. It's growing, so.
Listen, I give it to women. I honestly, I give it to anybody in construction, but I especially give it to women in construction, because it's like, it's not easy. Like I see people like, you know, like even like Cheryl calling like subs, because one of the things that Cheryl does is she runs, you know, accounting for us with Albert, and is one of our project controllers, and it's like, it's not like, it's a little bit intimidating. Would you say it's a little bit intimidating sometimes to call these people and like tell them like, hey, well, you're not going to get paid, or you need this information? Like, how does that feel? This is the reality is, this is an episode about women in construction. You know, how do you feel as a woman in construction to pick up the phone and tell a man in construction, you're not going to get paid tomorrow?
That's a good question, because especially us women, that we're a little bit sympathetic, you know, to people and their needs and whatnot. And these subs call and they want to get paid. And, you know, you have to be realistic. You have to not just, which is something that I learned. You can't just say, hey, they sent an invoice, we got to pay it, right? How many times do we not receive an invoice for work that still hasn't been completed? You can't pay it, right? But they expect to get paid. So you understand maybe why they want to get paid, and you want to be sympathetic to their needs, but at the same time, it needs to be that, you know, what we're paying for, we're getting the work, right? So sometimes it's tough to be like, you know, when they call and it's like, hey, we're coming by on Friday, we want to go pick up our check, and it's like,
I feel the same way though.
not this Friday.
Well, you know me. Like, if it were up to me, I'd pay everybody. Like, I hate owing anybody money.
I agree, but the thing is that when you're running a business, you kind of have to let your personal feelings aside, because many times it happens that they invoice us for work that hasn't been completed. So why are we paying ahead of time? For what? What are we paying for? So you kind of got to think of it with a business mind. But it does tug at the heart sometimes because you want to just be like, hey, we owe it, let's pay it, you know? But
It's tough because
it's tough.
But then sometimes, and I don't mean to cut you off, I don't know if it's ever gotten to a point, but I've definitely experienced sometimes, or I've experienced scenarios where a man doesn't necessarily take you seriously and they want to speak to a man.
Oh, definitely.
For example,
yeah.
you know, I'm the office administrator, and so I
you're
greet
the office
everybody.
you're the office manager.
No, we just
got a
promoted
promotion.
you. We just promoted you.
Make sure it comes with a raise, okay?
Manager role, yeah, of course.
Of course.
Have you met the office administrator?
Manager.
Oh, yeah.
But
sorry.
you know, so I greet everybody who comes into the office, and there are a lot of times where we get solicitors or subcontractors trying to work with us, and right off the bat, I'm the one greeting you, and they immediately start talking, but they won't talk to me. They'll address the men behind me. And there's been also a lot of times where the guys have given me my place, for example, where they have put, like, you know, not necessarily be like, oh, well, she's the boss, you need to talk to her, but also, yeah, like, you know, they talk to me because the guys are too busy and they have to go through me to get to the guys, and that's just how it is. And so, like, it's uncomfortable and even a little bit ridiculous that a man will, first of all, come into a place where I work. You see me first, and you don't even have the decency to look me in the eyes because you'd rather look at the man behind me. So have you?
What do you? You can be honest here.
Yeah.
You know, we can cut this out. Worst case. How do you feel like the guys here, especially the people that sit next to you, have supported you like in that role? Not like I'm actually like curious.
No, they've actually been very supportive. They've given me my place. Like they've shown me. They've shown me respect in that sense, where they will redirect the conversation towards me, and then they have to talk to me.
They make sure you get your respect.
Exactly. They have. Like,
Another
100%
thing I
can say that on behalf.
feel is that I think me being here should alleviate you and Foz when it comes to these phone calls or payment inquiries. Like, why are they still calling you unless you had a direct conversation? Or why are they calling Foz? You guys shouldn't have to come to me.
Do you want that responsibility?
Of course. That's what I'm here for.
Because I feel like sometimes, and not only you, but I feel like sometimes people as employees in general, they don't like voice those responsibilities that they want.
Absolutely.
And if I were to be
wouldn't-
an employee, I would voice. Well, you know me. Like,
Yes.
I would make very, very clear as the situation that, hey, that happened. I don't want that to happen again. And like really, it's especially in construction. Like and it sounds bad. Like I promise you, I wish it wasn't like this, but this industry is very, very it's very, very tough, and you have to become tough with it. You have to adapt to it.
I
This
agree.
industry will not adapt to us, and it's definitely not going to adapt to you.
Yeah.
You know, I'm somebody that, as hardcore as I am, I also have a very sensitive side, and I'm very sympathetic in a lot of cases. I wish that the game would slow down. Like, I wish. The thing is that it doesn't.
They should. I just
it, like,
feel
hits me in the
like
chin
they should
every once
call
in a
me
while.
and say if they want to inquire about payment. If by some reason they feel like I'm putting
You know
them
why
off
they
or
don't do
whatever
that?
it
It's
is.
because you don't tell them to. You don't tell them to. Because if you were to tell them,
But
hey, listen.
you know, the thing is, no one ever calls me. Like, so for example, Faz will tell me, or you'll tell me, oh, are we paying, you know.
But you email them, you know? So my recommendation is to all of you in this industry is to, whenever you have an opportunity, because every single one of those subs, comes to that door to pick up a check.
I come
And you-
out. I've come out.
and you
And
co-
that's how I now have a relationship with Alex from DLD. And he'll see me and he'll be like, hey, Cheryl, he knows me by name. Because when I hear them here, for the most part, if I know they're a sub, I will come out
That's
and greet them
perfect.
and
Yeah.
introduce
And wait,
myself.
that's going to take time in itself, though, because Cheryl just started. Cheryl, you've been here for like, what, 2-3 months?
Vice President of the Union here.
I actually went tomorrow is my 3rd month.
Oh my goodness.
3 month, my 90-day anniversary. The end of my probation period. So I'll know
Is it
if
the
I
end?
have a job tomorrow.
Yeah,
Guys,
6 months for you.
Pray for me because
The union,
tomorrow's a decision
the
day.
union will continue to keep you employed. Don't worry.
But it's important. Like, it's just my first boss ever once told me, he says, hey, the most important thing in this industry is to plan, which is the answer I was expecting, by the way. Planning. What's the most important thing in construction is planning. And the second thing is to be curious.
Okay, but you could have asked that question in a different way too. 'Cause,
How can I ask it?
like, honestly, if you would say, what is the most important thing about construction, right? From a client's perspective, yeah, of course. It's like I was kind of taking it more as a client's perspective.
I agree.
Like I understand where you're coming from, but I'm still new to construction itself, to where like I don't know like in a business sort of
No,
way.
but
Like
subs is important. Like it literally, like our like the employees.
but as
the
a
people with
client, you need to trust your general contractor, which again is very hard to do considering like my family's had issues, Cheryl's family's had issues.
everybody in this
Everyone
city
has problems.
has issues.
So, and that's like, I guess the difference where John Bell is set apart is that, you know, we do things set to standard. Like we make sure.
Do you really believe that we're set apart?
I really do.
I do.
Actually,
I would say so.
Can I actually
Absolutely.
say something? And I want to bring it back to a point that you made earlier, where you talked about this industry having to break you. And you'll see why it all ties in together about us being set apart is because, for example, I know for 100% that I can speak on behalf of everyone in here, and I also did it at the toast on
at the dinner.
yeah
The company dinner.
where I say that this is a lot more than just a job for all of us. So everything that we do it 100% with heart and intention. And using me as an example, 100% this industry had to break me before it could rebuild me. And I give you a lot of that credit because I've worked with you the most. I've worked with you more than I have with Foz and with Jazz. Though I've worked with all three of you, I've worked with you the most. And I've learned a lot from you, and we've had our differences, but from those differences came a lot of lessons, and I've learned to mirror you. I always think about the way that you would do things before I would do them, you know, or like what would you do in a scenario before I even try to call you and ask you for help or whatever, you know. And I wish that our clients knew the amount of love and also frustration and work that we put into their projects every single day. Because if they knew that, they would really see why we are so set apart. We operate like this. We don't operate like this. Because if we operated like this, we would never be able to put out the work that we do. And I really wish that if our clients could really see that, they would really know why we are so prideful about being set apart.
Well, I appreciate it. You made me cry.
I will tell you that I've really liked a lot of my previous jobs, but I will say, and not because you guys are here and the guys are going to see this, but in this company is the most teamwork I've ever experienced in my entire life. And not just to say teamwork, but genuine support. The guys, every single person in here. So I'm truly incredibly grateful to be a part of this team.
I can agree too. Like honestly, I see so much pride that people have.
My
like,
previous
in the
bosses are gonna
office.
see this. Sorry.
No, you're
They're gonna be like, they're gonna call me and they're gonna be like, that's so messed up, Cheryl.
And now she's
Sorry.
here now.
Sorry. Love you guys.
No, but I see a lot of pride in this office. Like walking
Yes.
in, I haven't heard a single person say one bad thing about John Bell or you or anyone that works here. Like everyone is like very teamwork, like very together. And that was something that for me, because in a way, John Bell did reach out to me for this position. And I feel like it was like, honestly, like I was saved because I don't know. I'm really happy here. And I never, ever thought I would ever work in construction in my life. I would never think about it. I would never apply to it, nothing. But I think this is the best decision I ever made. And I'm actually really happy that I'm here.
We rely so heavily on each other for support
Oh my
every
God,
single
so much.
day, every single second of every single day. And if people out there, our clients, our potential clients, our partners, our friends, our family members, understood that we take care of one another as a family in the same manner that we take care of our projects, I promise you that people would really see us different.
Well, that's why this podcast started.
And that's and that really is who we are. Nobody in this
It's
room
not
is saying
fake.
a
It's not
lie. It's not
fake, yeah.
fake. If you even
It's different.
If you, of course, this is it's beautiful chaos. Let's put it that way, you know. But if anybody sat in here and just to observe us in one day, they would know that what we say is real, because
They would set us
there's
as an
no way
example.
of exactly
For sure.
as an example and as a standard, because that's the way that if every company ran things the way that we handle things in here,
I would have been at my previous jobs.
I'm
Guaranteed.
gonna be honest with
Forever,
you.
yeah.
forever, yeah.
I was telling Cheryl that Isabella was having, like, I've been telling all of you, but mostly Cheryl. If Isabella hasn't stopped throwing up like since, like, I don't know, like the last hour. You know, she's pregnant, for those who might not know. But this, as important as that is, and as much as I want to be there, she understands that the reason that we even started this podcast is to be able to express ourselves and the things that we do, the things that we care about, and what we really love. And what you guys are saying is why this podcast honestly existed, and the only reason that I'm even here, because I know that the testimonies that we have as people is so important to express to the public, you know, and it's why this podcast existed, because I feel that if we were to document what we do, and I know that, you know, I overheard when I was doing the notes that Oscar wants a video every day. It's not.
I didn't say that in a bad way.
No,
I was
no.
just saying, like, there's an expectation, and like
Yeah.
I have to fill that.
But I
And Ron.
I just have. There's just so much happening right now, and life is so short that we have to have an urgency to tell people as quickly as we can. It's almost like sharing the gospel. It's like telling people about Jesus. Like you have to express it with urgency, knowing that those people's life might come to an end tomorrow. And that's how I feel, honestly, about our company and what we have, because the experience that you guys have with like another contractor and the things that you're happening with like the granite not being even, that's happening to somebody today. Yeah. And somebody chose willingly or knowingly or unknowingly to hire them, you know. And I just hope that through this podcast that we can be able to express to somebody else, because one of the things I want to talk about is I don't think that people realize, which is one of the reasons why I don't like for us to curse on this podcast. I don't think that people realize how many kids and how many young adults watch this podcast. And I remember I was telling, did I telling you about my story of me paddleboarding? So I was telling Taylor the other day, so like a year ago, I was, not a year ago, as we started podcast in January. So I would say it's like, maybe almost a year ago. Yeah, almost a year ago. I was with my nephew, his name was Mateo, and we were in the Keys, and we had a paddleboard, and I said, I'm going to spend some time with him. So we're paddleboarding through like La Playita, and I'm in the front, he's in the back, he's, 8, 9 years old, and I'm in the, we're just having a good time. And I said, I'm looking forward, and he's in the behind me. I said, Mateo, what do you want to be when you grow up? And he says, I want to be an artist. And it kind of caught me by surprise, like I didn't think that he was going to say an artist. But being a creative person that I am, I kind of like picked up on the fact that I don't think he thought like to be like a painting artist, which is the biggest issue about being a creative person or being an artist, is people think that artists have to do with drawing and painting, which is the biggest misconception about being a creative person. So I said, what type of artist do you want to be? He goes, I want to be an architect. And I said, architect? Why do you want to be an architect, Mateo? He goes, well, I saw your podcast with the architect, and I thought, man, I want to be like my uncle. And I thought it was crazy because he's not the only like kid that's ever watched our podcast. There's a lot of people that watch it. So my question to Gina is, a girl that's maybe, doesn't matter the age, but she's thinking about a career and she's thinking about what to do. What do you and I'm not asking the question about what would you ask your younger self, it's something different. Mm-hmm. What would you tell that girl that's like maybe in high school, that everybody's like, oh, you need to go to school, you need to do, like the whole like pressure that society and parents and like abuelitos put on people?
Yeah.
What would you tell her in regards to construction?
In construction specifically?
Specifically construction.
Don't be intimidated by it. That even though it is a very male-dominated industry, there's a lot of different aspects to it where women thrive and where women succeed and where women are better than men.
I agree. I couldn't agree more. I feel like everybody has like a role, and I feel that women are like So if you really, and honestly, when you said 15% of the women in construction, are from the U.S. are in construction, I feel like it's so, honestly, it's so low. It's kind of like, I feel like they make such a big impact or such a massive impact that you feel like it's so much more than that.
I think women, you say construction and women think like you're out on the field, like
laying a block.
laying blocks. Yeah. And pouring concrete and putting up scaffolding and
Well,
putting up drywall.
Let me tell you something.
Wait, Gina, what do you do?
Wait a minute. Let me tell you something. When I worked at the Shell company, we had a manager that was on the field. She was a woman.
Oh, there's a lot of
Her
field
nails were
women-
this
There's a lot of
long.
field managers
And
that
she
are
was out
women
there
and-
in her boots at 5:30 in the morning, and she was helping, pouring concrete. She was like, she didn't play. I was like, how are you out there with your nails this long?
Can I just say
believe
something
it.
really quick? I think that there are not enough women in construction because women, I could be wrong, but maybe not many women know the abundance of opportunity within construction.
I don't think it's the women though. I think
Taylor,
it's.
for
I think it's.
example.
I think it's everybody.
I think it's society also.
But Taylor, for example, Taylor does marketing in construction. Cheryl does accounting in construction. Gina's an admin in construction. I'm an admin in construction. We have engineers. We have project managers. We don't... Construction, I think the notion is that construction is a dirty job. Construction is not a dirty job. Because you can go and lay block, but just because you lay block doesn't mean that you're doing the job that nobody wants to do. Maybe you could be the world's best bricklayer in the universe, and that's okay. It doesn't make it a dirty job.
And also, there's a lot of money in it.
Of course,
Which people-
that's
which
another
people
thing.
don't realize.
People just
Like-
don't
Yeah.
know. People just don't know. That's the problem. That if people knew more about the opportunities within construction, I promise you that
More women would apply.
specifically, though I think that we could include men in there too, but women specifically would be more involved within the field.
When we start, we're doing like in West Miami right now. We're doing the shell. So it's hard in all aspects of construction to have women actually, especially in the field. But I promise you, when the job starts, I'm gonna invite you girls, and I think it's really encouraging that you all four go out there. Maybe it's more than four by the time we get there. You realize how many women actually work on the field.
Yes, I've seen it. I'm a witness to it, and I love it. I was like, when I first saw it and encountered that, I'd go and talk to my dad about it because my dad's worked in construction, and it's like, Dad, there's this woman, and I see them, and then she's remodeled her own house, and it's incredible. And I've gone out to other projects, and I see them out there, and I'm just like, wow. I
Okay.
was super impressed.
I'm gonna
There
give
really
you
is
a fact
nothing-
right now, and I don't think anybody is ready for it.
All right, go ahead.
You ready?
Ready.
Take a second, because you're thinking something like
All
that.
right.
Who was John Bell's first W-2 employee? Gina,
Iram.
do you know? Would you say Tiram?
Faz? No, he was not in a W. Oh, yeah.
Iram?
No.
Wait, no, we're talking about women.
I don't think it was Iram.
Women?
I'm actually not sure.
The first woman that John
Bella.
Bell Construction ever hired, no, it wasn't Bella,
Was it?
was a woman. And her name was Ingrid.
Oh, I haven't even seen her name.
I didn't
anywhere.
know that.
I didn't know
So
that.
when we had started, so we started the company in February, somewhere around like April or May. We landed our probably like I don't even consider our first job, but it was our first job that I needed to hire somebody, and she did plastering and she did like finish, and she was our first person and the first
at
hire
that.
that we ever had in this company as an employee, other than me, was a woman.
See, you've been set apart from the beginning.
I don't know, yeah.
I didn't get paid for that line, by the way.
But everybody thinks that it's Iram because Iram was like the first person that really started and like
Yeah.
stayed with
Right,
us.
he
And
started
she
from
only lasted like, I don't know, like a couple weeks. I really needed somebody to like help momentarily.
That's actually so sick though. Like I wish people
I wish she was
knew-
here.
I wish people
You
knew
wanna
how
call her right now?
empowering if you want. I wish people knew how empowering it is to be a woman in construction. Cuz you tell anybody, oh, "What do you do for work?" "Oh, I'm in the construction field." Construction? Yeah. and I'm really good at it.
I
and
got
I love
so
it.
many like weird looks when I told people I was moving into a job in construction. Yeah, I was bartending, and then people would like, I would tell them I was moving on. They're like, "Oh, what are you doing?" And I'm like, "I'm gonna go work at John Bell Construction," and they're like, "What?"
Listen, I have an aunt that laid her own tile, and she doesn't even work in construction. I'm like, how did you do that? Her entire house. And she was like, I don't know. I just said, and it was great. It was perfect. It's like, we can do it too.
Claro, of course. There's nothing wrong with doing the things that men do, and in a field so heavily populated by a man.
Yeah.
We're also a lot more like detail oriented.
I was
I
also
think
gonna
than
say,
men.
like, women
so,
are
like,
so
we're-
detailed. The thing is, with women, and I don't think it like
Unless
it's-
you have OCD.
Yeah.
yeah.
Or
But the
unless you're
biggest
my
thing
dad.
with construction is that it's very like physical. Things are very heavy, and
course.
it's like it's no like men are stronger than women. In some cases, in most cases, that's what made a construction male dominated. It's like the heavy lifting. But the problem is that the industry has evolved so much. Materials have become so much lighter. Equipment has become so much stronger. And the methods of construction have become so much more sophisticated.
More equipment is used to.
Yeah, to lift things. And
place
so
things.
so there's definitely a role for women in construction. And I honestly I wish that more women would work in construction. I think we would probably have a better industry if more women, if it wasn't 14.5% and it was 40%, 35%. Because if you look at, go to like a restaurant, and you're like guys do it all the time. You're like, you're peeing in the bathroom and you're looking at, and you're like, oh my God, this tile's so crooked and the wall's like this and the light is like slanted. And if that were installed by a woman, more than likely it would have been installed like perfect. So it's like, I just don't want women to, especially not even women, I just don't want like my niece and stuff to ever feel like intimidated by this industry. And if they ever feel intimidated, that they like come and talk to me, because there's a place for women in this industry. And there's actually, I think I talked to you guys previously that there's something called NAWIC, which is the National Association for Women in Construction. And there's a lot of women in the construction. And I feel that, women are like anybody, it's like stronger together and there's more power like in unison. So I highly recommend, NAWIC, so that honestly, you guys should like start a chapter of NAWIC.
So Miami already has a chapter.
I know, but you can have like, I don't
Maybe
know.
our own division.
So we could have.
But then, they have like happy
do it.
hours and
Yeah,
you guys like
events.
that.
They have a wine tasting coming up actually.
Actually, sign us up, Gina.
Sign us up.
You really should. So,
We need to get the
all right, so
membership approved.
so
Approved.
you kind of no, you guys have it approved. So you kind of hinted at like changing industries and going into construction. What do you think has been one of the biggest challenges that you've had going into the construction industry?
So I came from bartending.
Yeah, but before bartending, you were also in other things.
Yeah, but my most recent, because the Gina that I was, 10 years ago when I was in nonprofit work is very different from the Gina that I was 3 years ago when I was working at Duffy's, which is already very different from the person that's sitting at this table. But coming from bartending, honestly, it was kind of like a culture shock to go from like an industry where you can be like pretty loosey-goosey to being like super professional too. So the transition for me was a little bit more difficult, but touching on what Maria said, like there's so much support here that the transition like period felt like it took like 3 weeks.
Let me ask you a question, because I've been meaning to ask you. I might as well ask you here. Do you feel that the where you were before? Imagine you see like a funnel. Do you feel that before you were like it was just so open that it was so I don't want to use the word chaotic, but it was just so free. Where it kind of like narrowed down to a point where like bottlenecked. Do you feel that life is more like this, or do you feel like life should be more like where you were before? Because I've seen you in both instances as like Gina, the bartender at Duffy's, and Gina, here at John Bell Construction, and I love both, but obviously, like we said, they're two different people. And you can answer honestly. Do you feel that? I swear you can answer honestly.
I will.
Do you feel that? Which one do you think is the better Gina?
This one. But I don't know if that's just because that's like my own personal goals were more in the direction of where I am now versus where I was at Duffy's. I think I'm a better version of myself. And I think every day I keep becoming a better version of myself. And a lot of that has to do with coming here. And I'll be honest with you, since I kind of hustled you for a job, which that's how I got into Duffy's too. I hustled Wayne for a job. I wanted to come work here at John Bell because I started listening to your podcast. And I listened to like the first 4 or 5 episodes, and I got like such a great sense of who you guys were as people and who you guys were as a company that I was like, I want to work there or I'm leaving Miami. And I've told the girls this, like, I literally was like, if I don't get the job at John Bell, I'm leaving Miami and I'm moving to Nashville. And the next day you came by Duffy's and you were like, come to the office, and you offered me the job.
So what do you think is the biggest challenge working in construction?
Absorbing everything and trying to learn it all as quickly as possible, because there is so much to learn. And
Did you think that there's so much to learn in this industry?
no, I had no idea, which is like part of that culture shock. Like it is a lot,
It's
which
very
is why it's
detailed.
been so difficult. And like, I'm one of those people, like I want to know everything and I want to be able to do everything like right away. And I haven't been able to do that. So it's been really hard. Because like I want to be able to jump in and help Jay and Will with like whatever project stuff that they're doing. And I want to be able to like run into the accounting office and be like, what do you need? What can I do? And I want to go and sit next to Maria and be like, all right, give me like half of your to-do list. And like, I can't because
Listen.
Hey, you just got a raise, so chill. Or not a raise, a promotion.
No.
So he's like, don't be handing work.
It comes with the raise.
Take it back.
I'm gonna buy you a puppy.
but like, I want to be able to just jump in and help everybody. And you can't. Like, I mean, I've only been here, I like just hit my 30-day mark. So like, I'm still learning.
I'm gonna well, keep saying something while I look for something.
Okay.
And I wanna.
Taylor can keep the social media and the marketing though.
You don't want to help me with that?
Sorry, that's not really my.
Why do you not want to help me?
not my
Yeah,
forte.
over here like, oh, let me help
You
Cheryl.
want to know I
let
don't
me
want to
help
help
Maria.
because I did a boomerang, and your response was, to be honest, boomerangs are a little...
Right, exactly.
No, yeah. No, Cheryl showed me a picture that she like tagged everyone and I'm like, yo, why did you tag like that? There's like a
All right.
tag this way and this
So
way
look,
and this way and
this
this
is-
way.
Oh my God.
So this is. Well, I'll just show you that. You can look at that picture. We'll put it up. So imagine.
Oh, you with the hammer. That's in episode 1 of the podcast.
So and it's the reason I show you this photo is because that pic, more than likely, I was probably like 5, you know. So I was, imagine 30 years ago, and it's 35. Gosh. My point is here.
Now I feel old. I'm only a year older.
But you're only a year older. I'm the oldest one on this table, okay?
Listen, my point is, and you're gonna see, and honestly, we should have a board. You as the marketing manager, we should have a board in which everybody writes what they learned new every day. And I still write and I still remember the things that I learn on a daily basis. This industry is so complex, it's so detailed, and on top of it being extremely complex and detailed, it changes every single day. So be a little bit less hard on yourself, but also realize that it takes a long time to be to know everything that it takes to know in this industry. And me, that I feel that I understand a lot of what's happening in construction, and there's very few things that like kind of catch me off guard. There's still things on a daily basis that I realize, and I'm like, oh, I may have known that, but I didn't really like fully understand the complexity of it. And if you hear me talking to people, I ask a lot of questions, and I tell the superintendents, like, trust me, nobody cracks the whip harder than me, but you also have to listen to them. If someone's telling you no, just ask them why no, you know, because maybe there's a reason why they're telling you that something can't be done in a certain amount of time. And then if their answer is bullshit, then at the end of the day, then you can really push on them. But maybe they have something to give. And that's my biggest recommendation to you but any person in this that wants to learn this industry, is to be as curious as possible. Ask as many questions. The reason that Foz knows the amount of information that he knows is because he asks a gazillion questions. And that's what it takes to like really understand and be, you know, honestly the best in this industry. But you'll see, like,
Oh, I know.
You'll see, like, no, I'm not talking about Foz. I know you know about Foz. But I'm just telling you, like, just every day.
I love him, by the way, guys.
Yeah,
I
give
love
a
him.
shout out to your boss
I love
real
him.
quick.
Hi, boss.
every day, just realize that you'll learn something. And just when someone tells you something, even if the person tells you, like, I really need to, like, pick up a check tomorrow, like, ask them, like, why do you need to pick up the check tomorrow?
What is your need? Like,
What's so important? Like, how is it possible that you are the owner of a company and you're unable to, like, wait a week? No, because and it will teach you as, like, an industry person, but more than likely it's gonna teach you, like, as a person. Like, it's as, like, you'll see, like, the more that you ask people questions in this industry,
the responses that I get will.
You'll see how it will completely, like, it change you. And that's why I love to, like, lead and to do what I do, because you realize how much influence you can have in someone's life. Because sometimes people, like, life is very, very difficult and they're going through something and you don't know why people are acting the way they're acting. You can't assume that someone's acting, mad, or they're acting sad, or they're acting dry just because of their person.
Just because, yeah.
Like,
there could be something behind it.
So, but that's just a general topic. So,
wait, hold on. Before we even move on elsewhere, because I want to know what.
Go.
You were with me. You'd only had me for almost 2 years. We're going on 3 now. How do you feel now having 4 girls in the office? Because I know you had enough with me. But how has
my
it?
wife. And my sister. And my other sister.
And your mom.
And my mom.
Right.
Okay.
But the office specifically, how have things changed for you?
And literally in a 3-month period, because I'll be 3 months here tomorrow.
Yeah.
Well, really, let's
wait,
say
Taylor, how long
for me?
She started here.
It's just like bam.
Yeah.
I have
July. She started beginning of July.
Yeah,
So you went 2.5 years to then 4 short months ago having a full team of girls. How has that affected you? Or how has that changed you? Or what has that done for you?
Has there ever been this many girls in this company at one time?
The most we had in the company was 2.
2.
Okay.
That's an interesting question because it kind of just happened, but I wasn't following the amount of, like, women in the company, and I wasn't following the amount of men in the company, and I wasn't trying to figure out, like, how many people were Hispanic and how many people were American. Like, I wasn't, like, worrying about, like, the diversity of the group. I was just focused on the culture of the group, and that's what I've always focused on. And I feel like a lot of companies, they focus on trying to match a certain, like, characteristic of, like, people instead of trying to find a certain characteristic that makes the company great. And I feel like with Maria, we kind of just, honestly, I feel like we kind of just lucked out. Like, I feel about you how I feel about my wife. Like, I feel like looking back, I'm like, wow, I didn't realize how lucky I was when I brought that person into my life. It wasn't until after that I realized, like, wow, like, I didn't realize what I had in front of me when I had it, and I'm thankful that person hasn't left. And then
Listen.
Yeah, I'm listening. But with everybody else, like with Taylor specifically, I knew that position, I knew exactly the person that I was looking for. Exactly the perfect. And me and, like, even, like, Ron, like, we were looking for a person. What Maria was doing, me and Foz did that, and even Jazz to an extent. We did your job, until we felt like, hey, we found the perfect person to do our job, and we kind of, like, let it go. And then with Taylor, me and Ron were doing your job, and we kind of, like, understood the exact type of person that we were, like, looking for. We're looking for somebody that was funny, somebody that was a little, like, outgoing, and somebody that honestly thought outside the box. Like, we want to do something in marketing, you have to be like a little crazy, and so, because to do things that catch people's attention, you can't do things that follow, the normal path and the rhythm of life. And so and trust me, if you can even ask Ron, a lot of men interviewed for your position, and even women interviewed for a position, but we knew that it needed to be filled by somebody very specifically. And everything that we do as a company is very intentional. Everything from the colors that we have, from the way that things smell, to the things that things look, to things that things go out, what we say, everything. Like everything here has an intention. So I want you guys to like also know that the same intention that I look for in someone's signature, and the same intention that I have in the gift that we're trying to get for Christmas, is the same intention that I had, and even like gazillion times more, and what we were looking for you. You think about if the same intention that I have for like our Christmas gift, think about how important that is for me. Just think about how important you guys mean to me. So it took a long time. And honestly, it's probably why it took so long for us to build the team that we have. With Cheryl, I'll be honest with you, I had zero involvement in yours, because the people that I hired, they all freaking quit or we fired them. So I felt that, and Foz felt that he would do better at hiring you. But we always knew that it needed to be filled by a female. Something in accounting is very, very meticulous. It's very detailed. It's very like, and you need to kind of like, you can't slow the game down. The game always has to be slow. And it has to be somebody, like we always say, like count the pennies. And there's a lot of great male accountants, but there's a lot of great female accountants. And we felt that, honestly, that position needed to be filled by somebody. I don't think that we ever thought that we would have somebody as good as you, personally.
What?
I think we were looking for someone good, but I didn't think we were going to find somebody as great as you.
I can attest to that, because we've been... it's been just me for such a long time, and you just fit in so
more than we thought, right?
Yeah, like I can't even
put
it into words. No, you are great at what you do.
I try, guys. I try. I care.
But I feel like that's also a testament of like,
that you care.
I feel like it's also a massive testament of how God has always had a hand in this company, and how the right people have left and the right people have come and the right people have stayed. Because if me and you were to just go out to lunch, and we were to say, hey, we want somebody that's like super sweet, but like very stern, very on time, stays late, very like, careful, very sensitive, but very like good with accounting, very good with numbers, we'd be like, bro, that person doesn't exist, and sometimes we like set our expectations so low that because and that's the problem. It's hard to find good people, and I personally never thought that we would find somebody like you.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I honestly just do my best. I will tell you that I've come from the construction industry. I come with an accounting background. I have an accounting degree, and the only difference is here compared to other places is I was hired at other companies, and it's like, okay, this is your position. This is where, do it the way you feel comfortable doing it. And we just need this end result, right? That's all we want. So just give us this end result, which I was able to do. Here, I work with somebody that's very meticulous and very detailed. And he has processes in place that are not wrong. They're great processes, but the way the process is very different from what I'm used to, right? So at first, it's a little like, I don't understand why it needs to be like this. This was at the beginning. Now, where I'm at now, I'm like, oh.
No, it makes sense.
I see it.
Yeah.
I see the end result, and it makes total sense, So basically, that was just my challenge, a little bit of my challenge. But other than that, listen, guys, I'm here. I'm here every day, and I will always do my best. And I could not do it without the people here. My first month, Foz was out for 2 weeks. The week after I started, I was out 2 days. And then when I came back, I had 3 days with him. And I was without him for 2 weeks. And
You did so good.
I was so nervous.
You did so good.
But you know what? Maria, Jay, Will, like, it was incredible. Like, the support when I would come to you for normally with things that I would go to Foz for, because I didn't want to bother him. And I made it. I did it. And I was like, thank God. You know, and then he would text me here and there. I'm like, everything's fine. We're good. We're chill. Relax. Have fun.
And I'm very, but I feel like the same way that you feel. I feel like, honestly, I feel like everybody kind of feels in some sort of aspect, because everybody kind of like it's kind of like what Maria was saying. Like, as soon as you get, we have a very different approach in the way we train people here. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to tell you how it is. Most of you have experienced it. It's very military like. The way that the military kind of like military training, their number one thing is to break down the person and to allow them to realize, kind of put them in a position where they are so broken that they can only like dig so deep into a place that they never thought they can ever uncover, so that when that person begins to gain all this strength and they begin to gain all this confidence, what they create is like this monster that nobody can beat. And that's what we want to instill here. That
I see it.
The problem is that sometimes it all depends on the way that you break the person down, but
And how much the person can handle, obviously.
and I'll be honest with you, not everybody here can handle that. Like, not everybody can handle different types of trainings, but we're looking for certain types of people that fit our core values, and to be able to like really set ourselves apart and do things with excellence and do things as a team and have the pride that we have. We're looking for like certain type of people, and we don't expect for everybody that comes into the store and becomes an employee for them to stay. And I think that honestly, nobody and no one's better than like Maria as an example. Like, the person that you are now is so much stronger and so much more dependent.
It doesn't even compare to the person that walked in here on that very first day is no longer. I don't know who
that person is.
I don't know.
It's like a completely different person. And I'm so proud of the person that we have here.
And again, and I 100%, I bring it back to my comment earlier that 100% this industry had to break me to rebuild me, and it rebuilt me into a person that.
So the question is why?
Now I appreciate for sure.
So the question is, why do we do that? It's not because I want to. Let's be super duper clear. It's not because I want to. As much as people think that that's the truth, that's not the truth as to why we do things the way we do them, especially at the beginning. Because after a certain point, I let down and I let go. Would you agree to that?
Yeah.
So the reason that we do it is because our clients expect it. It's all about our clients. Our clients expect us to deliver at such a high level that we're essentially like, we're always preparing for people. So a lot of people say, why is your onboarding so much? Why is your probation so long? The reason is because I don't know if you're going to make it. I don't know if you're going to make it. I don't know if you have what it takes. And the reality is,
tomorrow I'll know if I made
it.
Tomorrow's a day.
But
if I see him in Foz going the
fingers crossed.
But I can't. But all four of you have, to me, in my eyes, have passed the test of what it takes to not only work in construction, not only work at John Bell, but most importantly, to be a woman in construction, because it's extremely underrated. And I feel that if a girl or a woman is detailed, strong-willed, organized, passionate, loving, caring, and I would say smart. You have to be kind of smart to be in construction. I think smart and intelligent is extremely underrated in this industry. I think
you also have to be willing. You have to be willing to adapt, willing to ask questions, willing to be corrected, willing to learn, and willing to continue. Because if you're not willing to do any of those things, you're just not going to make it. I'm telling you because I had to be those things.
I think every single person in this company portrays that type of person. I think we all care. We're all willing. We all show up. We work hard. I think I can't tell you anyone that.
I think the key to our success, really, as a company, but as the girls, since this is what this is about, is that not only do we perform the way that we do. I'm not saying that we're perfect. Everybody has tough days. Mistakes are made, but the importance is what you do after you make those mistakes and how you decide to move forward from them, and also what you show up with, the attitude that you show up with every day, and what you're willing to deliver every day, and also the way that you are willing to take care of the people around you, because we spend more time with each other than we do with our family members. You know, I see you guys more than I see my partner, than I see my mom, and which is why I'm speaking on my behalf now. This is more than a job to me, and I've told you before, I'm very intentional about everything that I do and about the way that I treat those around me, because we have been through so much together. Like, really, you know, I just met you girls. You know, we've been together for 4 months, but even in the 4 months that we've known each other, we have been through so much together. Now add that with what Oscar and I have been through together. You know what I mean? And what Jay and what Will, everybody in here has a life outside of this office. Yeah. And somehow, which is important, we make time to do both. We make time to work our butts off, deliver with excellence, but also really look after each other. Yeah. And that is why we are so successful. That is why we are who we are. Because if you didn't do those two, John Bell wouldn't be John Bell.
Yeah.
It wouldn't.
And just like when we have events outside of work hours.
Yeah.
I like the pig roast. I had a blast. We had a blast. And it was just a time where we all spent together with our families and with our work family.
Yeah.
And it was just like, wow, it's nice to spend this time, even though we see each other Monday through Friday, but here we are on a Saturday, and I didn't even mind.
Willingly spending time
That's the
with
thing.
each other.
We're there all day. We love it.
Yeah.
Nobody wanted to go home.
Then we had the turkey drive. I wasn't there. Unfortunately, I
there
had something else scheduled. But, and it's just like, those are great. Those are team bonding moments, and it's just like, it really helps us connect even more.
Yeah, because the same way that the industry breaks us, life outside of the office also breaks us. Yeah, and so coming in here, again, that's why I really hold myself to that, is that we rely so heavily on each other, because if Will sees me crying or if Jay see me crying,
they'll be like, what's
going on? You guys see, you know what I mean? Like we rely heavily on each other for a lot, and that's important.
And disclaimer, she wasn't crying about work. Disclaimer.
Well.
Yes. So we're going to do rapid fire. Okay. We're going to do a couple of rapid fire questions. And, we're going to start with one and only Taylor here. What's your biggest pet peeve? It's rapid fire. Chewing with your mouth open, great. Gino,
Being left on red.
if you could do anything else, forget about money, anything.
Okay.
What would it be?
I would open a dog rescue. So all like those older dogs and cats that nobody wants to adopt, that are like either sick or they're gonna get euthanized or nobody ever's gonna adopt them, I would literally adopt all of them. I'd have like a farm of dogs and cats, and I'd give them like an amazing last few months of their lives.
I
What would you
second
call
that.
it?
I have no idea. I have to think about that.
All right, think about it, because it might happen. You never
gonna
know.
put
You
the
need to be ready.
That's
Will
true.
John
All
Bell
right,
sponsor it?
Yeah, maybe. Biggest pet peeve?
Probably chewing with your mouth open, yeah.
Okay. Cheryl, what was the last song you played on your phone?
I will tell you, it's the same answer as before, because it's totally true. Gratitude by Brandon Lake.
Yes.
Again?
It's a good one.
I listen to it every morning right before I'm about to
what
arrive at work.
What does that
believe it or
mean?
not.
Oh, I gotta go listen to it now.
What does that mean?
Gratitude. Have you ever heard the song?
What is it called?
Gratitude by Brandon Lake. Listen to it on your way home,
Yep.
and you'll remember me.
Yes. It's a
Okay,
beautiful
It
song.
is a beautiful song, and it's just about gratitude. I'm gracious for everything that I have
Yeah.
on my life and work, the
Exactly.
job that I have.
All right. Well, listen. Before we get into the last question
You make me nervous.
of
I'm
rapid
scared.
fire,
What is it?
we have two women that are fiancés that are engaged.
Yay! Hey, girl.
So Maria and God, man,
Oh,
Show the
hold on.
rings. Show the rings.
see with
You
that
okay?
thing.
You need glasses?
Goodness, yeah, blinding me. But I love that. That like I don't know. You guys are kind of like going through life, because before, like when you started here, you were single, like working out, doing your thing, like and you've I don't know. I think I love the fact that
I've evolved.
that you evolved.
We evolve.
All right, so listen, the last question is for you, rapid fire. What do you think? What do you think sets John Bell Construction apart?
The team. The intention behind everything that we do, the excellence that we put in and out every single day, and everything in an email, in a phone call, in an argument, in a correction, and
Well, there you have it. The conclusion of the first episode of the Meet the Machine series is these four ladies that honestly I care a lot about. Very detailed, very loving, and honestly just a small part of a big operation that we have here at John Bell Construction. So the first of many series that we're gonna have, but the first of many episodes we're gonna have on Meet the Machine. So the next episode is gonna be the superintendents and the project managers. They're gonna talk about what it means to be in the office, but also what it means to be in the field. But honestly, girls, I really appreciate, everything you guys do, and you guys make me better. You guys, honestly, I would be lying if I didn't say that you guys drive me crazy.
I think
That's expected.
I think that's what you love the most.
Yeah.
You guys, honestly, like you guys really drive me nuts. But I wouldn't change it.
Who's the least that drives you nuts?
The least that drives you nuts? That's a close.
it better be me on that list. It better be.
It's not you, Maria. I would say it's probably you, Cheryl. It's right here.
Because I just hide in my little hole back there. That's why.
No, it's because I don't have to worry about you.
Foz has to worry about me.
But we have incredible women here at the office, but there's a lot of women in construction. So if you're motivated by something construction, leave us a comment, send us a message. We'd love to hear why you maybe want to go into construction. We'd love to maybe have you in the office. If you want to maybe be an intern, you want to kind of just spend a day with us, we would love to influence you into doing something that maybe you thought that you wouldn't be willing to do or being capable. So there's a lot of people here that are rooting for you, and I know there's a lot of people out there that are rooting for us. So we love you guys, and we'll catch you in the next one.